Hi, my name is Dave. I'm your host. You're listening to The Last Podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If this is your first time listening, hey, thank you. I'm happy you found us. And if you're returning, welcome back. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you continue to find tips, ideas, and value from listening to this podcast. Today is going to be a short podcast. I hope. I'm not sure, because I never know where I'm really going with my podcast these days. All I know is I have a question for you. I want you to think for a moment about your own life possibilities, what you are capable of becoming. Just take a moment and take that in. Ask yourself, what is my life's possibilities? What is my potential to become or becoming? Answer that for yourself. Your potential, not who you are right now or what you do for a living to earn money, but what you want to become or who you want to become. Of course, that's with the assumption that you want to be better tomorrow than you are today. Possibilities. Your potential of becoming so much more than you are right now. Do you believe that your possibilities are endless, or do you believe that they are limited? I'm just curious, because when we start to think about what our possibilities are for our life, some of us don't really have a big picture. And that big picture, it might appear to be big to them, but when you start to tell somebody else and they be like, really, that's it? Is that all you want? You got to realize to yourself, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not thinking big enough. Maybe I'm not thinking large enough. I'm not sure. So I want you to take your time, and I want you to just figure out, what is your possibilities? What is your potential? Do you have a large potential, or mediocre potential, or real small potential? I think we all have a great deal of potential. Maybe you want to further your career. You start your own business or upgrade your skill set to become better or more competitive, I would say, or bring more value to the workplace or society. That's up to you. Are you the type of person who might give their all every day? I want you to really think about that as well. Let's say you are working. Do you come in energized to work and be all that you can be for that day? And I want you to think about this, because that concept is really something. It's not about working extremely hard for another company and building their dream. I'm talking about, since you're there, since it's your time, since it's you, do you really strive to be all that you can be? Or do you just give enough of yourself to maintain keep from being fired? What is it that you do? I mean, do you go all out while you're at work? Do you try to go the extra mile? I'm just curious. I'm just asking questions here. And I'm asking without judgment too. Believe me when I tell you, because I'm in a spirit of being transparent. I've had many jobs where I just did my basic. I really didn't care. I was only there to just pay my bills, and I really didn't care about what I was doing. But you know something? I was doing not them a disservice. I was doing myself a disservice, because when you start to think about, am I giving my all, or am I just being mediocre? You're really hindering your own potential, because you never know who's watching. You never know what opportunity may arise. So ask yourself, do I go to work every day and give it my all? Because it's me. I'm not going to let me down. So I'm going to show up for me and show out for me. Now, whatever happens after that, that's all gravy. I'm not naive to think that you can give your all and next thing you know, you get a pink slip. I'm not naive to that either. But that's a different story. We're only talking about your potential. We're only talking about you. We're talking about your moment in the spotlight every single day for you. Not for your boss, not for your coworkers, but for you. Because your own ethical standards must be set high. No longer should we be mediocre. I say we strive to be all that we can be, because those behaviors are going to take us far. So I ask you again, do you give it your all while you're at work? And I know sometimes there are a lot of times probably where we don't really want to be there. But let's face it, do you have anything else going on? And if you weren't there, what would you be doing? Would you be earning more money than you are at that moment? Then by all means, leave. Or would you be losing money if you were to left at that moment? If you do, then by all means, stay and be all that you can be, because your attitude represents your altitude, baby. It's all about you. It's all about what you put into you. It's all about what you achieve for yourself. How high do you want to go? How low do you want to be? Now, if I'm in a job and I'm working and I know that I have to really give it my all, then I'm going to give it my all to the best of my ability. But you want to know something? There are times when sometimes the circumstance may wear us out. Sometimes it might be the people we work with that might be on our last nerve. Or it might be that we're talking to people who are just so draining to our personality, to our moment, to our zenful life. However, it's up to you to be resilient and bounce back. Take a moment if you got to and say woosah and say, you know what? It's about me. It's about me being all that I can be, because I want to represent me the best way that I can. I want people to understand and know that I'm here for the long haul. Whether I'm on this job or any other job or in my own business, I am going to work on me. And that sometimes is a lot of work. And sometimes it can, yes, be tiring. You know, I used to think, or I used to believe that if I worked really hard, improve my natural talent and work on my weaknesses, that I could become very talented overall person. You know, I later on realized that growth doesn't happen overnight or on its own. And believe me, I had to learn the hard way. There comes a time, and you know what? I believe there comes a time in everybody's life when we must, be aware and stop waiting for the person we want to become. Instead, we must become the person we expect to become now, then later. In essence, be the change you want to see. The word potential is a word that carries hope. It carries optimism. It's aligned with the strength that might be the vehicle that helps transform your life and what you need to become. I want you to think about this. I want you to think for a moment, what things in my life might be hindering my potential? I want you to go ahead, and if you're driving, don't do it now, but play this back later. And I want you to write a list of things you believe that might be stifling, that might be hindering your potential. And what I mean by that, what things in your life do you believe is slowing down your potential or preventing you from being all that you can be? I want you to write down what you believe in your heart is stopping or hindering your potential. But here's what I also want you to do. I don't want you to have any outside forces on this list. I want you to take full responsibility and own up to your own shortcomings. What do you believe in your heart of hearts is hindering your potential? Write a list, write it down, write it now. That list can have 100 items, it could have 200 items, or it could just be 5 or 6. It's up to you. You're the only one who will know, right? So here's the deal. After you write your list, I want you to I want you to be a little detective here, because while you're writing your list, I say become sort of a detective in your life, in your life's behaviors, right? I want you to think about what is prolonging, stopping, or hindering your potential, your growth potential, right? So I want you to write your list down. And then after you write your list, I want you to write a small paragraph on the items on that list, why you think you letting yourself engage in the behavior or allowing it to happen to stifle, stop, or hinder your potential. What do you think is at the core of all of that? Your list, what's at the core of your list? Why? Ask yourself, why did I let this stop me? Why am I letting this stop me? And what's stopping me from stopping this behavior? And why? Oh, we got a lot of whys here, right? I want you to understand that this is so important. This will help you move past what it is that you're going through, or what it is that might be stifling you or your potential for growth. Okay, so I believe that we can cater our goals and ambitions subliminally. And I believe that. I believe that we can forge an alliance with our subconscious mind, our triggers, our primes, to make it all work together for ourselves. And this is more easily said than done. And you're probably wondering, what the heck is David talking about? Yeah, I know you are. But I am going somewhere with this. I want you to write that list down because it's critical. It's important that you do. It's understanding you, right? So you're probably saying, well, how do I forge an alliance with my subconscious mind? And I believe that is a great question. And I think I might have an answer for you. So I believe that our subconscious mind, of course, is, in my opinion, might be more powerful than the conscious mind, because I don't think that we can grasp everything that's happening or everything that we see, hear, and do all at once and really understand it all to a degree. And I'm only going to say it that way because I believe in my own hearts of hearts, I believe that we can use our subconscious mind to program our entire life. Why do I say that? I think athletes understand this more than anything, and high achievers might understand this more of anything. I'm just now understanding what this actually means because I've been studying this. So I've been trying to figure out why we do what we do and why I do what I do. And I started coming across all kinds of psychology, behaviors, things that triggers our primes and so on and so forth, right? So how do we forge an alliance with our subconscious mind? It's simple. We feed our subconscious mind with the things that we're trying to achieve. That means consciously, we feed our minds every single day of where we want to be, where we want to go, and how we're trying to get there, the vehicles that we think we might be able to use to get there. And I believe that subconsciously, our minds take in all that information. And if we do it daily, it takes in all this information and works behind the scenes to formulate ideas that will come to the forefront of our minds and perhaps give us that aha moment. Yeah, Have you ever been there? Have you ever had that aha moment? I believe that was because of our subconscious mind working behind the scenes. Yeah, you got to understand that. I believe that if we feed our conscious mind daily, it'll dictate to our subconscious mind what it needs to work on behind the scenes. So, if you want something in your life so bad, you have to fuel your mind, your conscious mind, and your subconscious mind would take over and formulate different plans and help you come up with ideas and solutions and so on and so forth. That's how you build an alliance with your subconscious mind. But doing all that is not the only way. I mean, there's so much more that you would have to do and understand. This is just a tidbit of something that you can do to start understanding where it is that you want to go, what you want to do, how you want to do it, and why you do the things you do when you're committed in a certain way to do something. Okay, so you have to start somewhere, and I believe that daily consumption is the key. I think that daily consumption of what our reality want to become, we have to focus on feeding our minds that one thing that we're trying to do. And I'll say this to bring that point home. I think great boxers will hone their skills daily. And I don't think you can become a great boxer if you do it occasionally. Does that make sense? All right. So by the same token, I believe that great pianists play for thousands of hours, honing their skills, and one day play in front of thousands, earning them the respect and admiration of all their listeners. It takes time and overtime. And it takes not just the time, but it takes you planning. It takes you putting in the work and having action behind the plan. Because what good is a plan if you don't take action? Right? Okay, so that's what I honestly believe. And that's just me. And so you heard me mention primes and triggers and so on and so forth. So what's the difference between a prime and a trigger? Priming is the process by which we're exposed to a stimulus that influences a response to a subsequent or related stimulus, often without a conscious guidance or intention, whether we know it or not. For an example, if someone is exposed to the word doctor, they may be quicker to recognize the word nurse because the concepts are closely related in our memory. Priming is based on an activation of association in a person's long memory or short-term memory. What are triggers? That's a great question. I'm so happy you asked. A trigger is completely different in a way from priming or primes or what have you. I think in behavioral terms, a trigger is typically an external event or circumstance, if you will, that initiates the cause of a certain behavior or something that might occur. It could be a specific situation. It could change in our environment or emotional state that leads to a particular response in our behavior, unlike priming. Okay, so which is I'll say this. Let's say that, to put this in an example, so to speak, let's say that you went to a friend's house, right? And let me back up for a moment. Let's say that you just left the restaurant, you're full to the hilt, you can't eat another thing or drink another thing at all. So now you drive 20 minutes to your friend's house or associate's house, and wow, they're cooking your favorite and it's smelling so good. You just can't believe it. Now all of a sudden you're hungry and you just ate, right? That's a trigger. And let's just say, just to bring that concept home, let's say you go to a friend's house and you have two associates, two friends, right? You go to one friend house and, his house is fairly clean all the time. But, you don't go in there with this, I must clean up. I must clean up. By the same token, you go to your other friend's house and you always smelling cleaning solutions, and the house is spick and span. Everything is in place. Nothing is out of place, down to the seasonings in the cabinet. Now, you might be more apt in that home to clean up after yourself or make sure that you didn't make a mess, opposed to being in your other friend's house and really not that cognitive way of thinking and saying, I got to clean up after myself. You're really saying to yourself, okay, well, all right, see you later, I'm out. But in the house where you smelled the solutions, you are going to double take and make sure you didn't leave a mess. That's your triggers. That's what I'm talking about. We all have triggers, and I believe that we have silent triggers, and we just have to be able to do some detective work on our own behaviors in our own life so that we can fully understand why we do the things we do and why we react the way we act in certain situations, and that's the prime. So I hope that this podcast was like a way to say, hey, look, never thought about it like that. Let me take a look. Let me ask myself some questions and start thinking about what it is that you want to do to move forward in your own life and how you can make your own life better. And I think by asking ourselves questions and going deeper and beyond just the top layer of our behaviors, and if we try to understand ourselves, we might be able to better understand the people that we're around and that we conversate and meet with every day. Hey, look, my name is Dave. You're listening to The Last Podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. I created this podcast in a way to deal with my wife, who passed away last year on April 6th. To deal with the pain and the stress and everything that came along with her sickness and then passing. I created this podcast so that I can talk to myself or talk to the ether. But now I believe that I might have a couple of things that might be of assistance or help or provide you with some ideas or even invoke thought that perhaps maybe there might be something that I've said to help you improve your own situation or your own life, or even make you think about how you can change for the better in your own life and for the people around you, including your loved ones. I thank you so much for listening, and I hope you share my podcast with your family, friends, and co-workers. I think that I might be onto something here, and I hope that you believe that too, and I hope that you subscribe and like, and I thank you again for listening. I really appreciate you. Be blessed and have a great day. Bye-bye. You're listening to The Last Podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first.